I remember the day like it was yesterday. It was a cool autumn morning, the leaves crunching underfoot as I made my way through the deserted streets of Pinehaven toward the station house. A light drizzle spattered my face as I jogged up the front steps, eager to get out of the rain. Inside, Chief Granger sat huddled over his desk, frowning at something on his computer screen. He looked up at me as I entered, his expression grim. "What's wrong?" I asked. Chief Granger gestured for me to take a seat opposite him. "We got another report last night," he said. "Someone lost one of their goats." My brow furrowed. This wasn't good news. For weeks, reports had been trickling in of missing animals, accidents happening around farms, and even stories of ghostly figures lurking around at night. All of which could be dismissed if not for the fact that they all seemed centered in and around an old abandoned cemetery near Goat Rock Hill. As a member of the local force, I knew we needed to look further into this matter before it became too big a disaster. After a brief consultation with the chief, I set off towards the hill area, accompanied by Officer Jenkins, who volunteered to accompany me. On arrival, it was clear nothing was amiss. Just a few broken tombstones dotted haphazardly along the landscape gave any indication anything supernatural might occur here. Soon enough, however, whispers circulated via word of mouth among townsfolk, suggesting that animals began appearing more skittish. Reports included pets, whimpering and growling at nothing visible whenever anyone drew close to this particular location after sunset. Then came odd mutilation discoveries on multiple occasions involving farm animals, especially chickens and roosters, followed by eerie silence once again for some days afterwards. One such account would change the course of events beyond recognition, though. Mrs. Wilkinson, known to me personally, having grown up together back in elementary school, called the precinct late one night, despite being unable, and her voice cracked with emotion. She repeated herself several times without pause, her words becoming increasingly garbled with sobs. Finally, she ended the call without saying farewell or hanging up properly. Panicked, Jenkins frantically redialed only to receive static feedback. Fear crawled up inside me, then settled heavily in my gut when I thought about calling for backup. But then another notion struck me dead cold. If something bad indeed happened within the Goat Rock Cemetery vicinity during the supposed full moon tonight, wouldn't dispatch send someone else instead of us because of our previous investigative involvement in those mysterious missing animal incidents earlier? My mind raced to find alternatives for reinforcements when Jenkins grabbed the radio from his belt holster, pressing its transmission button without warning. His tone conveyed urgency, mixed with worry. "All units, respond immediately. There may be a situation unfolding at Goat Rock Hill Cemetery. Repeat, possible serious issue at the old cemetery near mile marker 5. Any available units, please hurry." The response caught everyone off guard with immediate confusion, borderline pandemonium. Dispatch screamed back in alarm, ordering a general mobilization. Jenkins glanced down at the dashboard clock, realizing exactly 3 hours remained until midnight. Without further debate, we reached mutual agreement. Rush straight to the source without waiting for backups or authorization. In retrospect, we probably should have listened better to warnings whispered between townspeople. Rumors that originated long before either officer ever arrived in Pinehaven with careers in law enforcement. Locals swore tales passed down generations from elders, warned of an unseen terror connected to certain dark rituals performed upon the burial ground decades prior. Some insiders even whispered an evil spell or curse lay dormant since being cast in the past, only to awaken under a specific lunar cycle. Almost nobody took stock in such nonsense. But perhaps they should have paid closer attention, because I swear, the restless spirit stirred, causing strange occurrences throughout the entire area. That night, a thick fog rolled in, obscuring the stars above and casting an ominous atmosphere over the land. Suddenly, our car engine stalled just before reaching the top of the hill, as if some invisible barrier prevented us from going further. We exchanged nervous looks and quickly realized we were cut off from contacting the outside world since cell phones failed to connect. Jenkins tried the ignition switch, but the vehicle didn't start despite the headlights illuminating intermittently. An icy chill ran up my spine, signaling danger ahead. We stepped outside slowly, both our flashlights beaming across the nearby trees while keeping our firearms ready. With every step, my heart thumped harder against my ribcage. As we neared the center of the cemetery, a sudden blast of wind knocked us off balance. Shadows danced in the darkness, creating eerie silhouettes on the grass. The hairs on the back of my neck stood upright, making my skin prickle with unease. Before I could react, a low howl echoed through the night sky, sending shivers down my spine. My instincts screamed for us to leave instantly, but my boots felt rooted to the spot, held captive by the unknown forces gathering around us. In the distance, the sound of rustling bushes caught my attention. A pair of glowing eyes appeared in the darkness, followed by another set, and then dozens more, each reflecting the moonlight eerily. The closer the eyes approached, the clearer it became that these weren't ordinary wildlife. The creatures seemed to be half human and half goat, standing tall on two legs, sniffing the air hungrily. Their faces twisted grotesquely, displaying sharp teeth and horns sprouting from their foreheads. And yet somehow they retained vaguely familiar features, almost as if transformed by dark magic. The monstrous hybrids began closing ranks around us, forming an impenetrable circle that blocked our escape routes. Jenkins yanked me hard, pulling me away toward the edge of the woods. Breaking free from the otherworldly entanglement, we sprinted through the trees as fast as we could, leaving behind the twisted abominations that had taken control of the Goat Rock Hill Cemetery and everything within its grasp. They continued to pursue us relentlessly, their hoarse, bestial voices trailing behind like a curse that couldn't be lifted. Officer Jenkins shouted to alert the town, our lives hanging perilously in the balance as we struggled to stay alive and endure whatever malevolence awaited us next. Our footsteps left deep prints in the soft earth as we leapt over fallen branches and slipped beneath towering roots, while evading the creatures born from sinister acts. We emerged from the forest at dawn, exhausted beyond measure, but thankful to be alive. To this day, no trace has surfaced regarding what transpired that night of reckoning, Nor is there a sign that confirms the exact time when the curtain will rise again upon the terrifying rituals that bind the town and its unwitting denizens to the cycle of bloodshed known as the legend of the goat. Headkiller. The media descended upon Pinehaven like locusts after news broke about the mysterious events. The state police launched a formal investigation into the disappearance of several people and the reports of paranormal activity at the old graveyard. They kept much of the information classified, citing national security concerns due to sensitive evidence found during the search operation. The government imposed strict guidelines on visitors to and residents of Pinehaven, urging caution and secrecy concerning any unusual incidents in the region. The townsfolk remained tight-lipped about the true nature of the horrors they witnessed, fearful that speaking out would bring further scrutiny upon themselves and risk exposing their cherished traditions to public scrutiny. Father O'Connor lived long enough to tell his story, providing valuable insight into the dark pact made by the community leaders many years ago. He spoke from his deathbed, revealing the truth he had discovered too late. His words spread among those who still believed in the existence of supernatural entities and sought ways to counter them. Yet the majority chose to disregard him as a senile old man, struggling to make sense of the chaos surrounding him. But as the time drew close to midnight on the 13th year, whispers returned to haunt the town once again, renewing memories of the traumatic events and hinting at something bigger looming in the shadows. On that fateful anniversary date, Officer Jenkins received a call from Sheriff Blackwood, asking him to return to duty one last time. Despite his reservations, Jenkins agreed and donned his uniform, not knowing whether it was bravery or foolishness driving him towards Pinehaven. As he drove along deserted roads, his thoughts drifted to Mandy. He wondered if she missed him or regretted running away so many years ago. Would she appear tonight, her fate tied intricately to the town's legacy? Or would she forever remain hidden in obscurity, far removed from the madness of rural life? Arriving at the station, Jenkins saw the place crawling with federal agents, scientists, and special forces teams. The new sheriff, William Hastings, briefed the assembled personnel on recent developments and intelligence gathered on the Goat Rock Hill case. He referred cryptically to a group calling itself the Watchers, whose agenda revolved around containing the arcane influences affecting isolated communities. This shadowy organization monitored and studied events linked to cults practicing ancient rituals involving animal worship and sacrifice. Jenkins detected skepticism mixed with apprehension as members listened intently, unsure which side they fought against. A helicopter ride brought him to Goat Rock Hill, where he met representatives of secret societies dedicated to protecting the sanctity of nature's domains. A race possessing powers that rivaled technology's most advanced weapons. These enigmatic figures shared information on Pinehaven's ancestral connections to pagan beliefs based on a symbiotic relationship between humans and animals. In particular, the goats embodied both reverence for nature and guardianship of human settlements, passing down wisdom and guidance through cycles of rebirth and renewal. Over generations, these unions evolved into the complex rituals, followed by families to maintain harmony and ensure prosperity for all. Even in modern times, remnants of such practices persisted under veils of mythology and half-truths. However, some covens deviated from these teachings, delving into forbidden arts and necromancy that distorted the primordial bonds into grotesque forms, creating living horrors instead of blessed beasts. Their ultimate goal remained shrouded in mystery, but hints suggested designs for global dominion through the manipulation of animal spirits and elementals conjured from the essence of Mother Earth herself. The agents concluded that the legend of the goat-head killer stemmed from a fundamental misinterpretation of historical facts, warped by generations of folklore until becoming synonymous with terror rather than spiritual meaning. Returning to Pinehaven, Jenkins faced an army of possessed townspeople bearing glowing symbols carved into their skin, chanting incoherent phrases. A pack of hooded figures led the charge, each wearing a mutilated goat head on his person. They brandished sickles, wielded strange amulets, and radiated a palpable presence infused with bestial energy. Amidst the chaos, Father O'Malley appeared, his face etched with sadness as he watched the unfolding battle. Jenkins took stock of his situation, realizing he stood alone, surrounded by foes eager to finish off anyone impeding their rite of passage. From nowhere, a band of furry shapes darted forward, snarling and biting at the enemy horde before disappearing just as swiftly. Relief gave way to confusion as more loping figures poured out of the darkness, joining the melee with surprising ferocity, tipping the scales in favor of Jenkins' allies. Behind them strode Jenkins' former partner, Mandy Crawford, armed and ready to fight alongside him, their reunion marred only slightly by her current form. Part woman, part goat, her eyes gleamed with determination as she spurred the remaining creatures onto Jenkins. In answer, he summoned all the strength left within him, channeling every experience, victory, and defeat in his career into this final showdown. As his mind raced with possibilities, Jenkins found himself overcome with visions from the past. He remembered his childhood days wandering the nearby woods with a trusty hunting rifle, tracking prey, learning about nature's balance while listening to stories told by his grandfather. All the lessons ingrained within him surfaced at once, combining to create a strategy no textbook could ever contain. Without hesitation, Jenkins shot a precise bullet directly above the heads of the coven leader and the creature on the altar. It struck metal embedded inside the stone chamber roof, setting off a chain reaction of explosive charges designed long ago for emergencies like this. Shrapnel rained down upon everyone present, causing panicked shrieks as limbs flailed, attempting to defend themselves. As soon as the initial shockwave dissipated, Jenkins charged into the smoke and chaos, dodging transformed bodies and twitching appendages convulsing on the ground. He ignored the pain seeping into his body from dozens of cuts and bruises. His singular focus lay solely on reaching the coven leader and destroying whatever kept them bound to their fiendish purpose. Above all else, Jenkins knew their power derived not from ancient knowledge, but through corruption of innocence. The very core of humanity's darkest fears, realized via a cursed bloodline and its inherited burden. Breaking free of the throng, Jenkins confronted the pale figure standing over Jesse. With his pistol emptied after previous skirmishes, Jenkins discarded caution, resorting to brute force to tackle the sorcerer off his perch. Sparks flew as the mystical blade clashed with Jenkins' service revolver, locked in a deadlock inches from either's vitals. For several heartbeats, both adversaries strained against each other, honed muscles bulging beneath clothes. Then, without warning, the air crackled with electric energy cascading from the makeshift rune circle. Conduits linking the captured souls and animal spirits formed a conduit for raw magical potential, channeled through Jenkins' firearm and amplified by unknown means. Concentrated energy discharged in a flash of blue lightning, enveloping the room and sending everyone flying in its concussive shock wave. When the fog cleared, Jenkins sat slumped against a wall next to the unconscious forms of Jesse and the coven leader, hand aching but relieved that nothing worse happened. Moments later, Mandy nudged him awake with a gentle nose bump before transforming back into her human shape. Both partners looked up at the sight of an ethereal spirit manifesting above the altar, the first angel witnessed since the town's foundation began crumbling with tragic revelations. Its wings spread wide, offering protection as well as acknowledgement. For centuries it had hovered here, awaiting the right moment when its services were required once again. Perhaps sensing the time loop closing like a vortex, drawing everything closer toward reconciliation. Amidst the destruction of Goat Rock Hill Temple, Jenkins experienced an epiphany born from accumulated experiences, losses, victories, and failures, leading him to accept his own role in shaping the destiny of townsfolk connected across lifetimes, guided by intertwining threads binding them beyond understanding. He grasped what few truly recognized, the curse originating not from animals, but from the selfishness of people seeking immortality, insisting on prolonging life regardless of consequences borne by future generations. This cyclical plague stemming from prideful arrogance needed eradicating permanently. Only then might peace finally come home to roost amidst the forgotten hills of Pinehaven. For just $3 a month, you can have your name featured in my YouTube videos and descriptions. Not only will you be supporting my channel, but you'll also be immortalized in the credits of my content. If you're looking for something a bit more personalized, consider becoming a $25 a month patron. I'll voice your stories and bring them to life on my channel. Create a special drawing just for you, or even write a unique story tailored to your interests. So don't hesitate. Join my patron community today and help me keep the spooky stories coming. And remember, together we can save each other from the YouTube algorithm. Thank you for your support.